Hello! Contained within this cardboard box is all of the things you need to turn your diesel heater, whether it be the cheap Chinese one, a planar, a Eberspacher, a Webasto, turn that into something that makes hot water as well as hot air. I'm going to edit this video to show you it up and running and doing its thing, and then later on, if you want to stay and watch me assemble it all and put it together, I'll put that in near the end and you can enjoy me struggling to assemble this, I imagine. Like I say, in here is all the boxes, this is all you require, and we'll now cut to it running and doing its thing. I'll show you it working, and then later on we'll show you it putting all the bits together. Let's go. Okay, here it is, all set up. You may recognise this from a previous video. This is my weird diesel heater that arrived that was supposed to be in water and just ended up being air because, I don't know, the seller's an idiot. Right, so that diesel heater, any diesel heater, this could be Webasto, Eberspacher, planar, anything, all the cheap Chinese kind that we've got here. Here we have the heat exchanger from, is it Bobil Vans or is it Bobil Vans? Is it Bobil Vans, like the mobile, like the oil? I'm sure you'll leave it down in the comments how you actually pronounce the name of the company. This is their kit, which gets you 2 heat exchangers, the parts that join the heat exchangers together, a tank, a pump, some hose, the controllers here that I'll explain in a minute why they're not the same, and that will make sense in a minute. And you get all of this as a kit, and this allows you to turn the hot air that is produced by your heater into hot water to heat either the tank you get from them or your own tank or whatever, and hot air as well, because it's a diesel heater that makes hot air. Let me zoom you in a touch on down here. Zoom in. So as you can see, there's a large heat exchanger, a small heat exchanger. Like I said, the coupling plastics that join them together and the hoses that join them together. There's a little pump over there, a little teeny tiny circulation pump. If you want to run a shower or whatnot, you can plumb in your own pump, obviously. I couldn't find the word there. You'll notice there's only 2 connections to this tank because I haven't drilled the third one, but if you stay along till the end of the video, you see me assembling it all and why I haven't bothered, because we're not running a sink or a pump or a shower just now, so we'll just heating the water up. And then that's just deducting, and thanks phone, let's just get interrupted there. Let's say diesel heater, power supply for diesel heater, controller, diesel, etc, etc. Right, now we're going to fire it up. Zoom out. We're going to fire it up, and I was going to explain the controllers. So it comes with 2 controllers like this one here, 2 of these exact same, except mine died. I don't know what happened. It stopped accepting my inputs. I could press the buttons, but nothing would change. So it's basically it's dead on arrival. It left the factory, fucked, and it's still. But if this happened to you, obviously Bobil Vans, the seller would replace this for you without any hassle whatsoever. I've just used the STC 1000 that I had left over from our project. It is set. This controller is set to 35 degrees, so when the air temperature gets to 35 degrees, it turns this one on. Turning this one on turns on the pump. When this one gets to, I've set it to 55 degrees, when it gets to 55, it turns the pump off. So no more hot water is produced by system. Hot air will then exit there, and your tank should be at 55 degrees. This lets you, well, you can turn your diesel heater off if you want, if it's the summer, because I'm fairly sure most of the heat will be captured by this, and you won't get a lot of heat out of the end until it's all up to temperature, which is good in the summer. It means you can heat water without heating up, the air. And in winter, well, you'll just have to turn it on and wait. Anyway, less talking, more doing. Let's turn it on. Will I turn the FLIR on just now at the same time? Does it have enough battery? Does my phone have enough battery to do the things? Recording. Start recording and give it a... That should sync us up. Right, let's fire up the diesel heater. Go! Yes, the diesel heater has already been run once. You can see on the FLIR that it's already a little bit warm. That's because I had to make sure it worked before I started filming, because we had the controller problem. So I just wanted to make sure it was actually going to fire up. And it did, which is good. So basically, we're just waiting for this to fire up, and then we'll hopefully get to see this click off from 26 it'll go up to 35, that'll turn on, and then the pump will turn on. So we'll just let it do its thing just now. With the FLIR, we'll be able to see the temperature at the inlet versus the temperature at the outlet once the pump has started circulating the water. We'll also get to see the tank temperature and see what we got up to. Hopefully it shouldn't take long for this heater to get up to temperature. Hopefully it doesn't run out of fuel. Oh, that would be embarrassing, wouldn't it? Halfway through the test, run out of diesel. It's not the first time. Okay, the heater is lightering. You might be able to hear it clinking in the background. It's not, it's the ceramic dish that I've got the fuel pump sitting in the background. It's over there. It's there clanking away. Anyway, we're up, we're running, we're doing it. This is my weird Chinese diesel heater with the weird controller that's absolutely all in Chinese apart from the numbers. Still works though, still a good heater. Okay, here we go. I may have to voice over some of those bits if it gets too loud, but we should be alright, I think. The thermal imaging, what is it showing? Is it showing it heating up? Yes, it is a bit. Good, good. We've got 24 and increasing. It's fine. This is just a bit lit. Once it gets up to its temperature, it suddenly kicks into life. Right, I think we'll set it to max power as well. This has gone from 1 to 9 in powers. We've set it to 9. Let's see what happens. And this, we're watching it for it to kick over from. I've said 35. Oh, I said 35. Seems excessive. I could have just set it to 30. Right. If I just set it to 30. 30. And then 2 degrees of hysteresis, it'll turn on at 32. So alright, we've set it to 30, it'll turn on at 32. And oh, you can see on the thermal imaging you're getting your hot air's coming through at the moment. Okay, the heater is on. Once this goes up to 32, it clicks this one on, and you'll see this one's now on. You see that's 19 degrees, so the pump should now be running. So if we look on the FLIR, I'm hoping to see the temperature sort of come back down again as the cold water starts to circulate through the. Let me just feel, make sure the pump's running. I can confirm the pump is running. So we should see the temperature come down again as the cool water gets run round the radiator. Heat exchangers, that's the word I was looking for, heat exchangers. Yeah, it's pretty doing much what I expected it to do. I don't know if you can see the background, the left hand side of the tank is slightly warmer than the right hand side, because the left hand side is where I put the input from the heat exchangers. So the hot water's flowing into the left hand side of the tank first. The thing says 19, can you read that? 19.8 degrees the water temperature's at just now. And that is the actual thermostat poked into the tank. What was I was thinking about something there. So, can you see me reaching across the screen? Yes. The air coming out the outlet is barely warm, and I mean barely warm. It must be about body temperature. It is not very hot at all. So in the summer this would be barely warming up, which is good because that's exactly what you want. You want it heating the water up, but not heating up heating up the air, obviously. Because you can see it's still in the thermal imaging. I'm going to do a little sweep left to right here. The inlet temperature coming straight out of the machine, that's like a good 55. And if we come over here just a little bit, let me just slacken that. So you swing around. See that? That's 27 degrees. Please note that the change in appearance of temperature is because that pipe is shiny and not matte. That's what I'm looking for, matte. Let's just do it. So the outlet from there is 29 degrees, and the inlet 55, 60, depending on exactly where you point it. But that's good, so that shows you the flow across the heat exchangers. Hot at the start, cold when it comes out. That means heat exchangers in the knob. And then the tank in the background, well, you can obviously see it's starting to change colour and heating up. So we're up to 22 degrees. Nearly 23. So I'm going to, okay, on second thoughts, I don't need it to come up to 55. So I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to set this to 32 degrees. 32, that seems like a nice, reasonable, showery temperature. 32. So we'll set this to 32. That seems more appropriate. You would only want to take up to 55 if you were trying to sterilise the water, or 65. 65 if you're going to sterilise the water, like if you're keeping the same water in a tank for a long period of time. Like if you were just heating this up and you're going to use it to wash dishes, or you would just like heat this up and then empty it in the sink, oh that's fine. Or if you're going to use it in the shower, just run your shower till that's empty and you're done and you're filling it back up with fresh water. But if you're going to heat it up, add in maybe an insulated tank and keep it, you would need to heat it up to like I say 65, 70, 8 degrees would be best to try and actually, and then kill all the bacteria, because you don't want warm stagnant water, because that's that gets you Legionella. You do not want that. So this is approaching 32 degrees. And you see, I can't remember what so that should have turned the pump off now. And it has, so the pump is now off. As you will notice, the system is still going. So if we switch over to the FLIR now, what we'll see is the temperature, you can see it start to rapidly increase. So eventually I'll end up with the inlet temperature and the outlet temperature being the same. And this is now what gets your hot air for your van. So now your van's heating up. Let me just give this a feel. So yes, now the warm air is coming out the end of the pipe, which is what you want if you're heating up your van as well. Oh God, just knock everything over. So there you go. I know you're going to ask, will the water boil inside these and will it explode? Yes, it will boil inside them. No, it will not explode. Why won't it explode, David? Because it's not a sealed container. The boiling water is still free to boil out of the top of here and make bubbles and boil into here. And this is vented as well. So this, again, you have to have a sealed setup for things to explode. If everything was sealed, this was sealed, the tank was sealed, and there was nowhere for the water pressure to go as it boiled, yes, it will blow one of these pipes off. But in this setup, where everything's vented, it will not explode. It will not shoot pipes off, blow pipes off, any of that nonsense. That will not happen. Right, back over looking on the FLIR camera. The inlet and outlet are very similar. Right, and what's the tank temperature? The tank should have probably stayed about, so the tank temperature's only gone up a degree and a bit, which is good, that's what we want to see. Right, let's shut this down a minute. Right, off. Alright, I'll let that run down. So that one says the air inlet temperature is 77 degrees. The FLIR says the air inlet temperature's about 77 degrees. Depending where you point it, which bit of the metal I hit or not hit. Yes. Oh, can you see in the tank? Wait, can you see? Did you see bubbles? No, did I miss them? Did anyone see them? There was bubbles. Bubbles came from here, because this is now boiling. Shame you can't hear it. I can hear it. I can hear it gurgling. That's okay. So we made it up to 33.9 degrees, the water, so that's... You can wash your dishes with that, you can wash your hands, and like I said, the temperature you want to take it up to is whatever you want. And now we'll be able to go in-house and do some mathematics and see how long it took to heat up that much water, which is 9 litres by the way, that's 9 litres in that 10 litre tank. 9 litres of water, how long it took, how many kilowatts that extracted. I could maybe work out the fuel, because this controller doesn't show you hertz. I'd have to listen to the pump in the edit and count the pulses. I'll work out how many pulses of fuel it was putting in at the time, how much fuel that used. I can do all these things. So I can stop the flare now. Well, let's just have a last little pan over. Diesel heater, inlet, there's your things, there's a pipe, there's the one that looks colder inside because it's silver inside. Emissivity. Emissivity? However you want to say it. Right, it's looking good. Right, let's let this cool down. So, what are my final thoughts on this setup from Bobil Vans? I fucking love it. Its simplicity and its construction is beautiful. These are 3D printed plastic parts. I'm gonna assume they're ABS because they didn't melt. If it had been PLA, this would have been a puddle at the moment. So, could it be PETG? Could be. Most likely ABS or hell, nylon for all I know. But it didn't melt, which means it's a high temperature plastic. Didn't melt. These look like off the shelf heat exchangers. Brilliant, fantastic again. Nice little tank, but it's a good little tank. Little teeny tiny pump. Doesn't have to be big and powerful. It's just circulating the water. Fantastic. Controllers. Well, we were 50% successful with the controller. But that's not their fault, they don't make the controllers, they just buy them and you would get a replacement, no problem. Setting it up is easy to set up. Can you work a screwdriver and a spanner? Because all you're doing is connecting, well, putting some barbs in, putting some pipes on, screwing the bits together and then sticking at the end of your diesel heater, little bit of wiring, and that gets you hot air and hot water out your cheap heater for still probably less than half the price of, you know, one of the Webasto or an Eberspacher or one of the Hydronics, and even with one of them, that only gets you hot water. So if you want the two, or you need to buy the Hydronic and then buy radiators and all those things, and it's an absolute fortune. Let's not kid ourselves. There's no way those heaters are worth that kind of money. No way at all. No, I mean, they're not made of solid gold. Sorry, I'm on a rant now, but anyway, yes, I recommend, highly recommend this setup. This is all of the things that I love. Simplicity in setup, execution, 3D printed parts. You can't get better than that. If they had to spend the money, they might do eventually on getting these like injection molded. These parts, the setup costs start off astronomical. Fine, you're blowing them out at less than 1 pence a part, but you're like thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds to get the dies made up to cast into them. But yeah, 3D printing for small scale stuff like this, that is the absolute way to go. And I thoroughly enjoyed putting this together and testing it out. And yeah, maybe one day I will actually buy another van with a gearbox that has all of the gears, not just third, and we'll actually set stuff up so I can maybe perhaps go cycling and stay somewhere in my van and keep cycling. Anyway, those are dreams for another day, another time. Thanks for watching.